Hi, Chris Montera here at EMS Today 2015, and we're interviewing the EMS 10 winners, sponsored by Physio Control and JEMS. So I'm here with Wayne Zygowicz. I was very honored to have Wayne and I sit down and have a little conversation about his EMS 10 award. Congratulations, first off.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, and good evening to you.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the fire service 33 years, so I've been a paramedic 27 years, and a division chief with Littleton Fire Rescue in Littleton, Colorado.
Right. Before we start, I think it's really cool that after almost 7.5 years, 8 years, that that they've been giving out the EMS 10 awards. Colorado, I mean, we've won a lot of awards.
We're on the top shelf.
I think it's awesome.
That's
I think it's awesome.
That's right.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And,
thank you very much.
So tell me why you won this award. What got you into that EMS 10 spot?
Well, let me back up a little and tell you how
Sure.
I got on the whole topic of suicide. I was in the Executive Fire Officer program at the National Fire Academy. And one of the classes that I had to write a thesis for was Leading Community Risk Reduction. And so I was looking for a topic when one kind of came into my life. We had resuscitated a senior citizen from a carbon monoxide attempt, and almost 6 months to the day, he came back to our fire station 13, shot and killed himself on the steps of the firehouse.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know a lot about suicide in Colorado, so I started researching it, and it fit right in with my topic of community risk reduction, and I was a little shocked by what I found when I researched the fact that Colorado was the 6th in the nation for suicide. And in all of my career, I had been going on a lot of suicides, but I really never put the dots together. So once I started researching it, I found some shocking statistics about my state and about suicide in general, and I thought, you know, these are preventable deaths, but this is a subject nobody likes to talk about. And I studied this and researched it for 6 months, and I really made it a kind of a goal of mine to talk about it as much as I could, and so I wrote a research paper on it. And in my research paper I found a few niches. One is that you pick up a paramedic textbook and there's 1.5 pages on suicide. Now, if this was some other topic other than a mental health issue, you'd probably see 10 or 15 pages on it. And so I found this little niche that firefighters, paramedics are not trained to deal with people who have either attempted their life or dealing with the families of people who have taken their life. So I developed a training program for firefighters, well, for everybody in EMS and public safety. I also wrote a standard operating procedure on what is expected of our people when they get there, because they've had no direction up to this point. And I also developed some resource brochures to leave with people at their homes in cases of completed suicide, or to leave with people who have attempted suicide.
And you're right. I think we as an industry don't want to talk about it. I think we as a society don't want to talk about it. And I think it's just kind of that thing that everybody just goes, "Ooh, he committed suicide," or whatever, and nobody really has an understanding of why. Did you, in your research, did you dig into the reasons why, or what were some of your research pieces for that?
Well, first of all, most people don't know, maybe you do, that there is a national suicide strategy, prevention strategy. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Right. I've been in the service for 33 years. I never knew this existed. And one of the pieces in there, one of the strategies, is that it calls for the gatekeepers of society to be able to identify people who are high risk for suicide. Those gatekeepers are you and me, police, clergy, people who have interaction with the public on a regular basis. In all my time, I've never had any kind of education, so that's why I developed the training program. As far as why, there are surely a lot of factors that weigh into somebody's decision, and when you study and look at the research, what you find is that at the very end, people have thrown out all logical choices in their life, and they see this as their only way out of their pain that they feel, mental health pain that they feel every single day. And at the end, what I read is that it's a very logical choice for people to take their life. Now, there's a lot of things that play into that. Mental health issues like depression, substance abuse is another thing, isolation. So there almost has to be a checklist that a provider would say, this person is really at high risk for taking their own lives. So I went out to try to do something about it in my community. I really had no idea that this paper was going to kind of go national, and I've heard from some people internationally. So anybody who wants my research, I'd be glad to send it to them.
Excellent. And what are the next steps? What do you see? You and I have been touched by suicide recently in Colorado. We've had now several providers in Colorado over the past year commit suicide, at least in our profession. Is this kind of the burden we have to bear for all the years of us going, hey, just buck up and do the thing and push your emotions to the side? And is this something, I see it as something we should fix. I'm hoping that that's something you see we should be fixing too.
In our profession, we're seeing a rising number of people who've taken their lives, not only while they're on the job, but also once they retire, they become isolated. Right. They tend to, in some cases, have substance abuse. These are all very preventable deaths. Depression is treatable. Substance abuse is treatable, but we don't like to talk about it. Society doesn't like to talk about it. The other thing I found when I talk to a lot of survivors and family members, what you say in those short moments that you're with them is going to stay with them for their whole lives. They will remember what you said, and in many cases we're not trained in order to know what to say. I like to call it the look. We all stand around with our hands in our pockets, not knowing what to say, or we say something that might be inappropriate, and hopefully a victim's advocate will show up. In some cases they do, in some cases they don't. So it's very awkward for providers who are untrained to be able to interact at a very crucial time in someone's life.
So when after all of this, do you think giving us more education when we become right at the beginning, and you said it well. We have a page and a half in our paramedic textbook. More education, I think, is always the key to this kind of stuff. So how do we kind of bridge that gap? Where do we go as a paramedic profession to get us to that next level?
Well, we all have to talk about it, and we all have to, recognize the signs and symptoms that I outlined in my paper in our fellow brothers and sisters. My original research is really preventing it in the community, but in the last 5 years, of course, it's bled over to a lot of increase in suicide in our profession. So we have to be able to support our brothers and sisters. We have to be able to ask for help. We have to be able to identify in our brothers and sisters when they're going through a tough period in their lives, and then we got to be able to talk to them about it. Do you have the means and the method? We have to identify people who are really serious about it from those people who are also calling for help, but may not be quite on the edge. If you are with a lot of friends on Facebook, as an example, social media. If you look on Facebook, you see the ups and downs of your friends, and sometimes they're writing that right on their Facebook page, and then we're ignoring that. So a lot of times that's a cry for help, and we have to be able to see that, and then we have to make it socially acceptable to be able to ask for help and not be stigmatized by the other people in our industry, because that's what society does to people with mental health issues. Right. So it's a very complex subject, as I found, and I'm very thrilled to get this award, but really it's about getting this topic out in the public to be able to confront this and face it and deal with it and come up with future strategies on how to deal with it.
Well, and I think you said it best right there, is that we ourselves, there has to be some personal responsibility, obviously, that we have to, as a provider, have to go, the demons I'm dealing with, whatever it is, I have to know it's okay to say. And you as a person have to be willing to receive that, to say, this sucks. Whatever it was, this sucks. And I think that then you have to be able to make the next step and say, I need help, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think we've seen all these other programs, but even something as simple as going to see a counselor can do a world of help for a lot of people. And it's just getting it out there.
Yeah.
It has, and it's a very safe place. And I think that's what we have to make people realize, is it's okay to talk about things in a safe place. And that's okay.
And also, I think some of the attention that we're seeing on the topic of suicide is coming from what we're seeing with our veterans and the post-traumatic stress that they've had. When you look at what firefighters and paramedics see on a regular basis, I mean, how could you expect someone to go home and not be affected by that?
Right.
We're not supermen. We're everyday people who have a very tough job in a very tough environment, and we need to continue to support our people and let them know that it's okay to ask for help and come up with strategies to be able to face this and deal with it. Let me talk briefly about one strategy out there, and I think it's something that you will see coming up, and that is resiliency training. To be able to give people the skills to deal with, to know what to do for themselves personally before they're actually involved in traumatic events. We brought in a team of resiliency trainers, and we trained some of our people right in the academy. And resiliency training comes out of the military. It's based on the data that they get from veterans, and it's proven that people who have resiliency training before they are involved in traumatic events do much better in the long run. So
excellent. Resiliency training it's on the horizon. You're going to hear more about it, I guarantee you. Excellent. Wayne, awesome. Congratulations once again. And tell me, finally, what does it mean to you that Physio-Control has recognized, is starting to recognize us? You know, I think we have there's other award programs at the Eagles for physicians, things like that, but this is about us. So what does that mean to you, that there's somebody out there that's trying to recognize us for the great work we're doing? Well, first of all, I think, you've been in the business. It's awkward to receive awards. I think most people are going to tell you that's just what I'm paid to do or I volunteer to do, and but it's wonderful for Physio-Control. They've been, I look at some of the equipment here. I remember the LifePak 5 that I grew up with. They have always been kind of innovators themselves, and they're innovators for doing this and showing the good work that we're doing. And I'm humbled to be one of those people. Well, great. Well, congratulations, sir, and thanks for coming up and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us. For more information and more coverage, join us at emstoday.com or at thepromednetwork.com to watch more videos on the EMS 10 awards. I'm Chris Montera, and thank you very much for joining us.